Okay, so guys, today we will be starting with like the hypothesis testing and types of statistics. We covered normal curve yesterday. One of the things about normal curve that I'll be updating you today. So in case my cell phone goes mute for a time, then like just be here only for 2-3 minutes, because like there's a problem with the cell phone that if somebody calls and they even reject the call, then it goes on mute. Okay, so let me tell you. So in normal curve we have discussed about measure of central tendency and measure of dispersion. When we say measure of central tendency, it means that it is mean, median, and mode. Practically and theoretically and practically, it's mean and median that should be in the center of the curve. One. Second is measure of dispersion. Measure of dispersion is three deviation to the right and three deviation to the left will cover 99.99% of the total data. Third thing is measure of shape. Measure of shape is basically measured through skewness and kurtosis. I'll not go to that. It's just if it is not looking like a bell curve, if the shape is aligned to the right or to the left, then the graph is skewed. Is a thing which I can tell you at this point of time, because when I'll be covering more into statistics, then I'll be going into that about other distributions, else you guys will be a bit confused at this point of time. So the first condition to check is if the data that we have, it meets the condition of central tendency. Second is it meets the condition of dispersion, and third is it meets the condition of shape. Shape till now we have seen whether it's a bell-shaped curve or not. Are we aligned?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So guys, let me tell you about a new concept, that is type of statistics. So before, yeah, type of statistics. So type of statistics is basically known as
It's on mute.
Hello, sir. You are mute.
Sir, we can't hear you, sir. Hello.
Hello, sir.
yeah, sorry guys. So when we say the type of statistics, the type of statistics is basically of two types. So let me put this into a separate page, separate Excel kind of a sheet. So when you say type of statistics, it is of two types. One is descriptive stats, and second is inferential stats. So descriptive stats is when we are describing anything. So let's example, if I'll say the same thing that we have seen in the last class, what we have done, we have basically described some of the things, like we have said what is the mean of the data, what is median of the data, what is mode of the data, what is standard deviation of the data, what is range, what is variance. So we have been describing a particular thing. If we are making a graph kind of a thing, a box plot, or many more graphs, it comes under descriptive statistics. So descriptive is when we are describing anything. So let's example, if I'll say, if I'll place a notebook in front of you and I'll ask you to describe it, you will say this notebook has 200 pages, this is of this length, this is of this width, this is of this color. So you're describing that thing. So in case you're describing anything with the help of statistical parameters that we have, mean, median, mode, and many more parameters that we have learned or we will learn now onwards, is known as descriptive statistics. So I'll write it down. When we describe the things with respect to parameters, it is, sorry, spelling went wrong. It is descriptive statistics, the example which I have taken with you. Second is inferential. That is the most important part of the statistics, where all this prediction modeling and all these major of these things will fall. Inferential statistics is when we are trying to infer anything. So let's example, you see a person. Let's example, you went to a public place. You see a person. Then you describe that person. That person is height 5-6 feet 1 inch 2 inch. This person is whatever you can describe. And second thing, what you can do is you can infer something about that person. So when we say infer something about that person, which means it is inferential statistics. So inferential statistics normally come into consideration whenever we don't have the entire population to study upon. We don't have the entire data to study upon. So let's example, I have in total, if I'll say what is the age of every Indian. So you don't have the resources, you don't have the manpower, you don't have the enough ample amount of resources with the help of which you can go to each and every person and ask his age. So what you will do at that point of time, you will take a sample out of it. What you will do, you will take a sample out of it. So what do we mean by taking a sample? We'll randomly pick, say 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh people. So this is a sample that we are taking out. We calculate the age of these 2 crore, 10 crore, 20 crore, whatever sample you have taken, you will study those and you will say this is the average age of an Indian. So what it is? You have studied on the sample and you are trying to achieve on the population. This is known as inferential statistics. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So let me write it down. When we try to infer about the population from the sample, it is known as inferential statistics. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Anybody any doubt?
No,
Sir, how do we infer about the population from the sample? Like, do we also perform the same statistics that we were performing in descriptive statistics?
No. For this, that is one of the thing which gives birth to hypothesis testing. So hypothesis testing is an art to estimate the population parameters from the sample.
So, which one gives inferential or the descriptive one?
Descriptive is simple. You don't need any robotics for it. But inferential is a thing when you have a limited data set and you're trying to infer about a huge data set, that is population from sample. Then you basically require an inferential statistics. That is hypothesis testing that we will be studying like in this session and in the subsequent sessions as well.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, if we say inferential statistics. So what do we infer? Say there are various things we can infer when we have a sample, when we have population. There's certain things we can infer. One is mean. You know mean?
Yes, sir.
Average.
Average.
We infer standard deviation. We infer percentage, that is proportion. Say, basis a sample that we have collected, we can see that party A will get 40% of the votes this time. So is this right? That is it also right on the population that we will be studying or not? Is a proportion. We said 42% of the vote the party A will get. So is this applicable to the entire population or the only sample we have studied? So this is percentage, that is proportion. Mean, standard deviation, proportion. So it's actually known as variance. Okay. Anybody any doubt?
Sir, please repeat.
Yes, sir. Not getting.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's example. I'll give you a simple example. Say I have so what I have is I have to buy chairs for my office. What do I need to buy? Chairs for my office. So in this scenario, my office requires 10,000 chairs. Okay, I'm into admin and facilities. I need to buy 10,000 chairs for my office. So I went to the vendor. I said I want to buy 10,000 chairs. What vendor will do? Vendor will show me like some of the samples. The first chair, second chair, third chair, fourth chair, fifth chair, whatever the sample is. I selected one of the chair. The parameter for me is, let's example, my management will only accept the chairs which are more than 10 kg of weight. Okay, it's a wooden chair less than 10 kg of weight. My management will not accept because they also need to put some weights and all the things over the chair. So I said I only need the chairs with more than 10 kg of weight. So what shopkeeper will show me? He will show me all the chairs with more than 10 kg of weight. So I measured the weight of each and every chair, and it is more than 10 kg, and I selected one of the chair out. Okay, so then what I have been doing? So I've been selecting, I have been inferring the 10,000 chairs with the one chair which the shopkeeper has shown me. Okay, so I have been trying to judge or trying to say that entire population that is 10 lakh or 1 lakh chairs which I have been buying, 10,000 whatever it is, will have the average weight of more than 10 kg, similar to the thing which I have seen. This is the judgment which I have in my mind. So what I have been trying to do is I have been trying to infer how the population will look like from the sample only. Is it fine now?
Yes, sir.
Anybody, any doubt till now?
No, sir.
Because the hypothesis testing is a very critical concept. So in case you are not clear with any of the thing, then do let me know and I'm fine to repeat. Okay. In a similar way,
Sir, your mean we always collect the samples and then integrate to their population.
so in inferential statistics, we do that.
Okay.
So in descriptive statistics, we perform all this on whole data, well, in the population.
So descriptive statistic is, yeah, when we have the entire data, or in case we have a partial data, but we are not aiming to estimate the population out of it. We're just describing it. So let's example, now I have collected the age of 10 lakh Indians. Now there are two ways from it. Either I'll judge what is the age of every Indian, or second is I'll keep on describing the age of these Indians. Say I will say this 10 lakh Indians have age 28 as an average, out of which 60% are female, 40% are male, or say 60% are female, 50% are female, 40% male, and 10% are children. So what I've been doing, I've been describing this. Okay, so this is known as descriptive statistic. But in case I'll say if the age of every Indian of the sample collected from 10 lakh is coming to X 27, whatever it is. So what will be the population age? Is it similar to 27 or is it not similar to 27? So that goes to the root of hypothesis testing. But in case we start explaining those, whether it's a sample or population, it will go into the root of descriptive statistics. Is it clear?
Yes,
So both statistics will depend upon size of data.
No, size of data is not a thing we actually should be worried about, because even a size of a population can be small. So let's say example, you're measuring the number of satellites that have been launched in a particular year. So you won't get more than 10. Even it is a population, it is 10 in size. So it does not depend on the size of the data. It depends whether you have collected the sample or not. If you have collected the sample, then are you willing to know the population parameter out of it, or you want to study that only? Let's say example, your office gives you a task that you need to go to a particular place and you need to find how fertile the soil is. Okay, you came with a pack of soil from the land. You picked a pack of soil from the land. You picked a mug of soil and you put it into a poly bag. You came back. Now you have been understanding the soil, how fertile it is, how many pesticides are there which have been put in, what are the other qualities the soil has. So here you're not going to estimate whether the entire place has this quality of soil or not. That's a different thing. Okay,
Okay, sir.
I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now
Sir,
yeah,
so that means that if we have any data given, then we can perform both descriptive and inferential statistics on that data.
if you have a sample, then you can perform both. If you have a population, then you can only perform descriptive.
So, sir, when we have the data, do we get to know that it is a sample or the population?
Yeah, definitely. So whenever you're getting from business, so let's say example, there are 50 people who are working in your company. The manager says to pick only 5 and check their quality. Then you are picking a sample, and the manager says check the quality for all 50. So it's a population you're working on. So it is basically whenever you work on any of the project, you will know whether you're working on a sample or on a population.
so basically we calculate this parameter for both sample and population and we'll compare them, right?
Come again, I didn't get you.
So we have to calculate this parameter for both sample and population and we'll compare them.
Which parameter?
Mean variance and that proportion you are given.
No. So whenever you have this mean, variance, and proportion that is available for, okay, let me put it this way. Whenever we have this variable available for sample, then we have a capability with the help of hypothesis testing that we can reach to the population mean, population variance, or population proportion. But if it is available for population, then hypothesis testing does not work. Hypothesis testing is not required.
Okay, so hypothesis testing is only work on samples.
Hypothesis testing is a thing that only works when we try to estimate population from sample. When we have a sample and we want to know how much the population will perform. अभी बेटा और उल्टे होके पढ़ लो, कब देखो कैसे पढ़ रहे हैं रे. Sorry guys. Okay.
hypothesis. Can you explain hypothesis? Hello. Hello.
Yeah, please ask.
Can you explain hypothesis? What is hypothesis?
Hypothesis testing is an art with the help of which, if you have a sample, you can approximate the population out. So let's example, you see the surveys that normally come during the election. Right now, some elections are happening in Bengal. So you will get some surveys that BJP will get 60%, 40% of the votes. Another party, TMC, will get 50% of the votes. So these are the surveys you are seeing. You would be seeing whenever there are elections.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So what is this? They have worked on sample. They haven't asked each and every person. They have asked a random sample of, say, if the population is 1 crore, they have asked from 5,000, 10,000 people. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So, but they will say that this party will get this much of vote. This party will get this much of vote. They won't say that they have worked on this much of sample. They said for Bengal, this will be the election result. This will be the party share. So what they have done, they have estimated a sample, but they are approximating the population. So this is through hypothesis testing. I will tell you how they do that. How to approximate the. So let's say, example, a particular news channel says that BJP will get 10% votes. Let's example, and suddenly the results will come, and it comes as BJP is getting 90% of the votes. So do you think it will make any sense to the reputation of the news channel that we have been seeing? No, it is extremely wrong.
No.
So, but major of the time it is somewhat similar to that. It can be 5-10% here and there, but it's almost similar. Why? Because after collecting the sample, they have applied hypothesis testing, and after validating the hypothesis result, they have been saying that. So I will tell you how to apply the hypothesis testing. I'm just clearing out the concept.
Sir, then what is the difference between hypothesis and probability?
So probability is with respect to any of the thing. So probability is a prediction whether this will happen or not basis the historical data. But hypothesis testing is an art from sample to population. It is not a historical data. Both the data are the current data. We have been estimating the current data, current sample data, and we have been studying the current sample data, and we have been estimating the current population data. So that's the difference.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I have a small confusion actually.
Yeah.
Sir, it means that whenever we do mean median we find for the data, then means we are doing the descriptive statistics. Whenever
No, you can find it for sample as well. So yeah, so the thing is mean, median, mode. Whenever you do, you're working on a descriptive statistics.
okay.
Provided this, but this doesn't mean that you cannot do inferential statistics. You can also do inferential statistics if you are working on sample as well.
So, sir, after working on sample and we find about the mean, variance, and SD, can we infer about the population through those data, like through what mean is saying?
Yeah. So whatever the sample mean is saying, now you will try to infer whether the population mean will also be similar or not. Is the thing that you will do with the hypothesis.
No, sir, actually, we don't have the population data, right? We only have sample data.
Yeah. So that's the hypothesis testing. You don't have the
Okay.
population data, but you have a sample data. But then also you will. So the election example which I have taken,
Yes.
in this scenario, let's example a particular channel ABC, he does not have the data for entire 1 crore people, but then also they will say that entire Bengal will get this much of vote share. So that's the beauty of the hypothesis testing, that you will try to infer. So please keep my words with you. Try to infer the population with the help of sample when you have only sample available and population is not available.
Okay. So actually, the only doubt that I'm getting is that whenever we are finding mean variance for any data, that means what we are doing, inferential or descriptive? That's the question.
So when you are finding the mean, variance, standard deviation, descriptive is the thing that you have been doing. but you can also go with the inferential statistics after,
By doing hypothesis testing.
by doing hypothesis.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Sir, hypothesis means any question that we want to prove. Uh,
Yeah.
yes.
I'll come to that. Yeah, you're
Okay.
right. Okay. Any doubt anybody has?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let me tell you, I'll take an example with you. So it's very, the thing which I have is very simplistic way. So hypothesis testing. Okay, before I proceed, so let me ask a question from you guys. How many of you have read hypothesis testing before? So I won't be asking any questions. Don't worry. I'm just asking, just for the approximation, just for the idea, just for my idea, because I will tell you the difference with the help of which you will learn the hypothesis testing. So that's my purpose. So I'll not be asking any question. So how many of you have learned hypothesis testing in past? No matter if you remember it or you don't, it's fine.
So does alternate
sir.
hypothesis and null hypothesis come under hypothesis testing only?
Yeah.
Yeah, sir. I
Okay.
have some idea about hypothesis testing.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
so
even I have read it.
whosoever has any idea, but the concepts will not be very much clear, because hypothesis testing itself is very confusing for the people. Am I right? For the people who have read it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Yeah. So let me
Yes.
show an example to you, and always keep this example in mind. And hypothesis testing will not be confusing. Will not create confusion for you. Let me put it this way. So let me share my paintbrush with you. I'll take an example. Okay. So before starting this hypothesis testing, if at any point of time you will think that the class is going over to your head and all these things, then please let me know in between. I will stop this topic and I will start another topic, and we'll again start with this topic tomorrow with the rest of the thing that has been left, because normally this topic requires 1 or 2 iterations. So in case you think that this thing is going over your head, then do let me know. Okay, don't wait for others to tell. Okay, so let's example. I have what does it looks like?
Bus.
Vehicle.
Yeah, it's look like a bus or something, you can call it. It's a vehicle. So okay, so let's assume it's a bus that has been going to a holiday trip to Nainital. Let's example, I'll take this example. This is a bus and this is going for a trip to Nainital. So now in this example, I have two people. I have two people that are here. One is this person A and this person B. Okay. Now in this example, these are two friends, A and B. They want to go to Nainital for a holiday trip together. So they said they came to this bus and they wanted to see like whether like this bus. So they basically asked the owner that we actually want to board in this bus. How much is a ticket? He said there's a 2,000 rupees for a particular person. Okay, till now it is clear. The example is clear. This is a bus that is going to Nainital. These are two friends, A and B. They want to go to Nainital, so they just checked the fare and said the price is 2,000 rupees per head. Now they said, okay, we are fine to onboard the bus, but the thing is, let us check the condition of the bus, whether it's fine or not. So that's usually a thing that we always do. Okay, so let me check the condition of the bus. But the driver or the owner said, no, you cannot check the condition of the bus. First purchase the ticket, then we will give you the entry to the bus, else you are not allowed to the bus. Okay, is the condition clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now this person A says, okay, we have not been allowed to enter into the bus, so let us do one thing. There are 4 windows over here where 4 people are sitting. Let me ask from them. So he knocked this window, he knocked this window, and a person came out. He said, how much will you rate this bus as out of 10? He says, I will rate the bus as 8. He knocked the other window. He said, how much will you rate the bus as? He says, I'll rate as 9 on 10. Then again, he knocked another window. How much you will rate? He says 8. Then he knocks another window and he says, again says, say 9. Is it clear till now? It's simple.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, when these people knocked the window, the person he said the rating of the bus is looking like 8.5. The average rating is looking like 8.5. So because this is a sample, so we don't have the enough manpower, resources or whatever to estimate the entire population. So we have taken a sample of 4 people. Is it right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now is it clear? Okay.
Yes,
sir.
Okay. Now the person A says the bus is looking fine. Let us go to Nainital with this one. The person B says no. This might be an experience of the people who are sitting near to the window. So I don't believe on this rating. Okay. Because this will be some other condition for the people who are, it's a long distance. We are not getting a window seat. So it might be a problem for us. For the window people, it's always comfortable. That's the statement which the person B has passed. Now these 2 people have 2 things in their mind. So these 2 things are whether the rating of this entire bus is 8.5 or the rating of the entire bus is not 8.5. Am I right?
Yes.
So now let me put these 2 conditions here. First condition is the condition of the bus condition is equal to 8.5 and the bus condition is not equal to 8.5. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Now I will name these 2 conditions. Can I name these conditions? I'll say this condition is HA, this condition is H0. Is it fine? Anybody problem with this naming convention?
Hello, sir.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have a doubt. So, is it possible to put the condition as not equal to as HA, the alternate hypothesis?
Yeah. So that's the thing I also did wrong. So I it should be same only. Yeah, you're right.
So
This is
I don't
same.
know like how it works, sir. That's why I asked.
Yeah. I will tell you. So I wrongly put H0 and HA here, but I will tell you later so that the audience will not be confused. So these are the two conditions. One is H0 and second is HA. I just named these two conditions. Is anybody who has a problem with this naming convention? Are we fine till now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So now,
Sir,
yeah.
sir, bus condition not equal to 8.5 means they are not going to board the bus.
No. They have two states of their mind. Now the decision they have not taken.
Means 8.5 is the condition coming, right?
So the thing is, the sample said 8.5, 4 people said 8.5. Now these two friends have the doubt in them whether the actual rating of the bus is 8.5 or not. So they've just put it on the piece of paper.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, it can be greater than 8.5 or less than 8.5.
Yeah. So it can be. So the another person said, the person B said, the people who are sitting on the window might not be getting that much of cooling because sun rays come from outside. So the people inside the window might get a better cooling. So it can be better than 8.5 as well. So it can be better than or it can be less than 8.5. First is, second is it's actually 8.5.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now these two friends are discussing. These two friends are discussing about this only, and suddenly what they have done is, so the person A said, I will board the bus. I will board the bus. Okay. But person A said, I will board the bus. So I'll go back to this. The person A, this is person A, this person B. The person A said, I will board the bus. The person B will say, I will not board the bus. Okay. So now person B did not go and person A went to Nainital. When this person A went to Nainital, person B called this person A and said that, how's the bus? He said, it's actually 8.5. It's actually 8.5.
Sir, your voice not audible.
Excuse me, sir. Guys, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Yes, muted. That's why.
Yes. Thank you. Sir, it's not audible. Okay.
I think sir gone on Nainital.
Might be it's going for somewhere.
At Nainital.
Might be. Might be asking for the reviews.
Someone's camera is on. I think someone's
Vivo 1805.
1850 Vivo.
Can I tell them to off the camera? Hi guys, are you still there?
Yes.
Yes.
What happened to sir?
Yes.
I think he got a call.
Okay.
Okay, guys, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So actually, I was like, I can hear you guys, but when I've been speaking, so I guess you are not able to hear me. Okay. So the thing is, where I was telling you about this problem. So the person A said, I will go. The person A went to Nainital, and he said, when person B called him, he said, how much is the rating? The person A said, it is actually 8.5. Okay, till now, is it clear to you guys?
So sir, this guy going to Nainital alone.
This guy went Nainital alone, and when the person B confirmed with him, person B did not opted to go, and when person B opted for it, okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Then
Yes.
person, yeah, he said, will it be fine? Then the person B said, yes. Person B called person A and said, how's the rating? Is it actually 8.5? The person A said, it's actually 8.5. Okay, so then now the person B, this person B has not accepted. This person B has not. So when I've named this, so I'll name it H0. I'll call it as null, and I'll call it as alternate. These are the two names. Either you call it HA or H0, or null or alternate. Both. So these are the two names which I've just kept. Okay, guys. So now when this person B did not go, now the person B is realizing that he has made a mistake. So this person B has not selected the null when it was true. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir,
Okay.
please explain.
Okay, now when this person B did not go to Nainital, person A went alone. Considering the rating is 8.5 only, and person B said, no, I don't think the rating is 8.5. I will not board the bus. So when person A went to Nainital, then person B called him. He said, how much is the rating of the bus? Okay. Is it clear till now?
Yes,
The
sir.
person
Yes,
B,
yes, sir, yes, sir.
the person B called the person A, and person A said it's actually 8.5. Then person A realizes that he has not accepted this null condition when it was true. So he has made an error in decisioning. Is it clear?
Okay, sir. So what the error is called?
So I'll come to that. But till now, is it clear? The person A has made, the person B has made a certain mistake by not selecting this null state of its mind that they already written on the piece of pen and like piece of paper. So now when he has not opted for this, so he has made an error. Is it clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this error is known as, I'll name this error as type 1 error. Okay. Is it clear? I've just named this error when a person will not select the null hypothesis. When it is true, null state of mind, when it is true, then it is known as type 1 error. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Everybody? Anybody, any doubt?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Now, second thing is, yeah.
सर आपने बताया कि वो बी वाला ज्वाइन नहीं कर रहा था बस को ना.
B, the person B did not went to Nainital. Only person A went to Nainital. Then when the person B had a call with person A that how much is the rating of the bus, the person A said, the rating of the bus is actually 8.5.
Okay.
He realized
Sir,
that he has
hello.
made, yeah.
सर अगर वो बी वाला जो कैंडिडेट है वो बोलता कि अगर बस की रेटिंग 8.5 से ऊपर होगी तो ही मैं सफर करूंगा. तो उसमें ये
नहीं अभी ना ऊपर की बात नहीं करते. डोंट लेट्स नॉट डिस्कस अबाउट अप और डाउन. लेट्स ओनली डिस्कस कि 8.5 नहीं है.
Okay.
I'll come to that whether it's up or down in then the different two-tail test, one-tail test, just for better understanding. Because if you go to up or down, then you will not get the concept. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
So till now it is clear for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
So that means when we reject the null hypothesis, but it is a null hypothesis, that is called type 1 error, if I am not wrong.
When we reject the null hypothesis, when it is true, is type 1 error.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
I have doubt, sir. How,
Yeah. First of all, your voice is very low to me. Can you please speak a bit louder?
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, on which basis we are going to select that is alternative hypothesis, or that is null hypothesis? That is, you have taken bus condition is equal to 8.5. That is null hypothesis, and
So think it is a just like that I have taken. Okay, I'll come to that why I have taken, but don't worry about that. Think just like that I have taken it. Okay. So there are different things which I need to explain once you are clear with the concept. One is why I have taken null is this, alternate is this, why it is equal to, why it is not like less than or greater than, and n number of things I will explain with time. So okay. So till now it is clear. Type 1, what is type 1 error? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now the second condition is the person A boarded the bus. Okay. And person B did not board the bus. When person B called person A that how much is the rating of the bus, the person A said it is pathetic. It is not even 4. Okay. Clear?
So please
No.
repeat.
Sir, repeat.
Please repeat, sir.
So now I will reverse the situation. The situation is same. Person A went to Nainital. Person B did not go to Nainital. Okay. Now person B called person A that how is the rating of the bus? Okay. The person A said the rating of the bus is 4. I won't rate it as
Sir, your voice is not audible. Sir,
So we
guys,
cannot hear you.
so it definitely means it's a null, as I guess.
So very low voice.
Sir, it's very low voice.
Sir, you are audible. Yes, but
is it better now or
No, sir. We
No,
can't
sir.
hear.
It's,
no.
be here only? Let me rejoin.
okay.
What is he saying?
He's rejoining.
Okay.
But I'm joining from my cell phone. 1 or 2 minutes. Okay.
So your voice is not clear.
Cell phone. It will take 1 or 2 minutes.
Your voice is breaking, sir. And also it's very low.
So check your microphone once. Okay, sir.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Guys, is it
Yes, sir.
better now?
Yes, it's better.
Okay. So the second condition which I was telling you, person B, he did not go with the bus. The situation is same. Now, when he called person A that how's the bus, person A says the bus is pathetic. I will not rate it as 3 or 4. I don't know how people are rating it as 8.5. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So in this situation, the person A has made a mistake.
Yes.
Yes.
Which mistake he has done? He has not selected the alternate when it was true.
So how, I mean, he does not take the review of number B, correct?
So yeah, because he has believed on the sample. He has believed on the sample. Ideally, he should not have believed on that.
So in this condition, when he got a 4.5 reviews, the condition is a fail or null, correct?
So here, what he has done? He has not accepted the null hypothesis when it is true, or he has accepted the alternate hypothesis when it is false.
For person B, right?
Yeah. Now it's for person A. Earlier, the error that has been made by the person B. Now, if I reverse the condition, the error has been made by the person A. What he has done? He has not accepted the null. Sorry, he has wrongly accepted the null hypothesis when alternate was true.
I mean, fail to reject the null hypothesis.
Fail to reject? No. He has. So when he went to Nainital, what he has done? He has accepted the null hypothesis. So that's the thing. So he has not rejected the null hypothesis. So in the second condition, the scenario is he has accepted the alternate hypothesis. He has accepted the null hypothesis when it was false.
Yes.
Am I right?
Accept. So please again speak.
So he has accepted the null hypothesis when it was false.
For a person, no sir.
For person A.
Sir, it's a bit confusing. Can you quickly repeat it once again?
Yes, sir.
So the till first condition, is it clear?
No, sir. Can you please repeat the first one also?
No, so this one, like he has not selected the null when it is true, the type 1 error.
Yeah, getting
type one
confused
is it-
between A and B.
Okay. The first condition was person A went to Nainital. Okay. Person B, the person B did not go. Is it clear till now?
Yes.
Now, when person B did not go, he checked with person A, and person A said, actually it is 8.5. So person B has made an error.
Yes.
By not going. So this error means that he has not selected the null hypothesis when it is true. This is known as type 1 error. Is it clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Now I'll reverse the condition. Person A went to Nainital, it is fine. Person B did not go. When person B called person A, that how is the bus? Okay. Now when the person B called person A, how is the bus? Person A said the bus is pathetic. With me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now person A who has actually went to Nainital, he has made a mistake.
Yes, for selecting null.
For selecting null.
Yes.
When it was false.
False.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So we are discussing alternate hypothesis right now.
Alternate hypothesis. So I have been coming to this only. So don't worry about alternate. So these two things are different. So but I've been writing, just focus on that. The person A now has made a mistake. He has accepted the null hypothesis when it was false. Is it clear till now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Person A has accepted the null hypothesis when it is false. I can write.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So this is known as type
two.
2 error. This person is who has made an error is person A. Okay. Is it fine with everybody?
Yes, yes.
Now I'll come to another condition, not any other condition. So now I have two things. One is I'll come right here. Reject H0, that is null, or accept H0, that is null. Second is when H0 is true and when H0 is false. These are the two conditions that came. I'm not talking about null or alternate. So I've been here also. I said when not selected is null or accepting the null. I am not talking about alternate. Okay.
Okay.
So when null is rejected, when it is true, so what kind of error it is?
Type 1, sir.
Type 1.
Type 1.
Type 2.
Type 1, type 1. I've written over the top. When null has not selected null when it is true. So when
Okay.
null has been rejected when it is true, then it is type 1 error. So second is when we have accepted the null hypothesis when it is false, then which kind of
Type
error?
2.
Type 2.
Type 2. When we have accepted the null hypothesis when it is true, what is it?
That is correct.
Type
Is
1.
correct decision?
Then there is no error in that.
So no error, correct decision it is. It is a correct decision. Are we aligned?
So can you explain it again?
Which part do you want me to explain again? Type 1 and type 2 or correct decision?
Correct decision, sir.
So when the person, say person A, has accepted the null hypothesis and it actually turned true. So in this case, is there any error which person A has made?
No, sir.
No, he has taken a correct decision
Yes, sir.
because he has accepted the null hypothesis when it is true. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
So same is the condition which I have written here. When we accept the null hypothesis when it is true, then it is correct decision.
Okay, sir. Okay.
When we reject the null hypothesis when it is false, then what it is?
Type 1 error.
No, when we reject the null
Correct,
hypothesis when it is false.
Correct. It's correct decision.
Correct.
Correct decision.
Correct decision. So example is in this scenario, person B was right. Am I right? Because he has, second condition was the bus condition was not 8.5, it is 4, 3, whatever it is. So the person B has made person A has made a mistake, but person B is fine with that. That's
Yes,
the
sir.
correct decision.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Accepting the null hypothesis when it is true, it is correct decision, right?
Yes.
Rejecting null hypothesis when it is true is type 1
error.
decision.
Type 1 error.
Accepting null hypothesis when it is false is type 2 error, right?
Accepting null hypothesis when it is false is type 2 error.
Type 2 error.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Is it clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, can you say again why person B is correct?
Let me write it down. Be with me.
Sir, you are not audible.
Yeah, I'm not speaking anything. I'm just writing it for you so that this thing will be very much clear to you guys. So I'm writing it down. Just give me a second. I'm not speaking. Huh? Is it clear for the first point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
In the second situation, here, person A went and bus condition is 4. So person A made an error and person B is correct. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now this is the hypothesis testing. So I just use this example to explain you what are the errors, what is null hypothesis, what is alternate hypothesis, what is this, what is that. So let me tell you guys. So in case null, alternate. So whenever it comes to a condition, when it is equal to whatever sample says is null hypothesis. Whatever we assume is alternate hypothesis. So here sample said it is 8.5, so null is 8.5. Whenever we say no, it might not be the null, then we say it is alternate. Am I right?
Yes.
This is the thing, that is hypothesis testing. So now when I do this test, this first condition can be less than, can be greater than as well. So I'll tell you this thing later, because if I'll tell you right now, you guys will be confused. Okay. So this is a concept of null and alternate hypothesis. So if you guys are clear with it and the topic is fully digested, then I'll go to the another topic, because normally people say like they actually need some time to digest it. So if it is fine, then I'll come to the next topic of central limit theorem.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we can go ahead.
Okay, sure. So the second concept is known as central limit theorem. So what is central limit theorem? So the thing is, so I have let's example, so I'll take an example. I have a car. I have a car that is a Swift Desire. Okay. So when I bought this car has a average meter. So if you guys and if you know about Swift Desire, it has a mileage meter on the in the meter board, which basically says that what is the mileage this car is giving to you at a particular point of time. So is the example clear which I've been taking?
Yes, sir.
So now we have this Swift Desire car. Swift Desire claims that the mileage this car will be giving will be 23 or 22. Let's example. How much mileage it will give? 22. That is, it will run 22 kilometers for 1 liter. Okay. I took this car. I have been driving this car. So for the first day, I saw the average is just 9 kilometers per liter. The average is being displayed. I saw the average is 9 kilometers per liter. So does this mean that the average is actually 9 kilometers per liter?
No, sir.
But for the first day, it gave me this average only. So can I say the car will give the average of 9 kilometers per liter? If no, then why no?
Sir, it is new. Or maybe we have only
So
taken
because
the single
it
try.
is average.
Because I have very less data point on a single day. On the basis of that, I cannot say it is 9.5. Okay. Okay. Now
Yes.
I drive this car. I drove this car rather for the second day. Okay. On the second day, what I have seen is the average changed to 13.5 from 9.5, then 13.5. Then also I can't say. So till what point do you think I need to observe this car? And it will giving me the average that I can say that for longer run, this car will give me the average of whatever like it is giving. Anybody, any idea?
So when you have a sufficient amount of data points.
What is this sufficient? 100, 500.
So when you will get mileage, you will get continuous same mileage when you
Yeah,
run
yeah.
that trip.
Yeah. So what do you think after which day, 10th day, 20th day, 30th day, 100th day, I'll start getting the continuous similar amount of average. I'll put my question this way.
Sorry, sir, repeat the question.
My question is, after how many days I will see that the average is not changing?
Maybe after 5 days. And
80 days.
that the first day it was 9.5. The second was 13.5. So on the basis of these two data points, I'm assuming that in another 3 days, maybe it will give 23.
Sir, when it's like there is a mid-life of the car, so you will get the correct average of this car during this period.
So let me tell you guys. So when I say the question which I've been asking is, after how much time do I expect the average to be normal? Which I can say that it is a normal average, which means the average will try to follow a normal curve. Now it is not a normal curve. Now it's not a normal curve. But after how many days I will say that my average of my Swift Desire car will start giving me a normal average or will start following a normal distribution is my question. So I've just reframed my question. Is my question clear to you?
Yes, it's clear.
From a layman, I'm coming to statistics. After how many days I will say that my car's average will start following a normal distribution is my question.
Sir, when mean, mode and central tendency are equal, then
Mean and median and mode are equal. First, second is 99.7%, 99.99% of the data will fall in 3 division. All these things. So is the thing. I'll come to that. So I'm going step by step. So I said after how many days it will start following a normal distribution. So now center limit theorem says that. So center limit theorem has the answer. So let me write it down. Center limit theorem says that if you have a population and if you have a population, if you have a population is, so let me tell you, if you have a population
whole data
with mean, that is say M, and standard deviation, that is say S. Okay. If you have a population with mean M and standard deviation S, if you take random samples out of it, if you take random samples out of it with the replacement, then the sample mean will follow a normal distribution. I hope this statement is not clear to you guys.
Yes, not clear.
Yes, sir.
At one point, if you take random, if you take random samples of with replacement, what is the replacement?
Replacement is, let's say example, you have you have 10, you have a room full of balls. You take a ball, you checked it, tipped it, and you placed it back. Again, the same ball has equal chances to be selected. That is sample selection with replacement. With me? So I hope this condition, this statement, as I mentioned, is not clear to you, because I have to explain this statement. Partially I will explain today, and partially I'll explain tomorrow. Because the thing is, if I download you too much with the statistical concept today, you will forget whatever you have learned for the hypothesis as well. So don't worry about it. So whatever you can grasp it. Rest I will cover tomorrow. So I'll say, so the same Swift desire example which I have taken. So normally central limit theorem says that if you take 30 random samples from any of the population, okay, with the replacement, this means the sample will start following a normal distribution. So if I'll drive my Swift desire for any 30 days during the entire tenure, then the average of my Swift desire will be approximately equal to the average that it will be giving for the entire life, provided it will be running in the similar kind of conditions. So is my example clear to you?
Sir, how is this replacement criteria is fulfilled in the example you have given?
So in this example, I'm not talking about replacement. I'll take another example for replacement. So replacement, I'll explain again. But just for a better understanding for you guys, I will take this example. So with replacement is a thing that normally happens when you take a sample, you place it back, and again the same sample has equal chance of being selected like any other sample. That is replacement. But in this example, it won't suit. So don't think about replacement right now. Only say, if I'll take random samples out of the entire population, okay, if I take random samples out of the entire population multiple times, that is, if I take 30 random samples out of my normal, out of the population, then the sample mean will start following the normal distribution. So this, with respect to the Swift desire example, if I'll take the average of my car for any of the 30 days, random 30 days, random, which means every day has an equal chance of being selected, then the average of my Swift desire will be similar to that for the entire lifetime. Is it clear to you?
Sir?
Yeah.
It's somewhat confusing.
Yeah. So I know it will be. So that's why I said, yeah.
So the 30 days you're talking about, the 30 days is a random number or it's a fixed number, like 30 sample?
It's a fixed number. After 30 trials, after 30 samples, any population, sample of any population will start following a normal distribution. Yeah, please come.
It means it's applicable on any sample in any population. That's 30, which takes 30 samples at least.
Take 30 samples with sufficiently large in size with the replacement. So that's the thing.
Okay, sir.
Even if the population is not normal, but the samples that we have been taking will start following a normal distribution.
Sir, can you take another example if you don't mind?
Yeah. So I will take another example tomorrow, because if I take another example as well, so the same confusion will remain in your mind, because you have just covered the hypothesis.
Yes.
So this is the normal thing which I normally face in batches. Yeah, please.
Sir, I learned before that this central limit theorem, from which I I know that the sample size should be the 30.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the
Sample,
30
yeah,
samples. we have to
no, no,
get.
no. Both the things. So let me tell you. Sample size is one thing, and second is the iterations as well. Let me show
The sample size will be random, right?
you.
And
No,
the mean of
sam-
the each sample represent
Yeah.
the normal
mean of these sample represent the
normal distribution.
yeah, the mean. When you plot the mean of the sample, it will start following a normal distribution. So let me tell you.
And what
Let
is
me take-
normal distribution, sir?
We have covered yesterday normal distribution. You are
Okay, that measure of central tendency or measure of dispersion.
yeah, if it is a bell-shaped curve, it is mean, median, mode equal. It 99% data falls in 3 divisions. So that is the normal distribution. I would say.
So measure of shape also.
Measure of shape as well.
Okay, okay. These three comes at a normal distribution.
So when these 3 conditions are met, then data is normally distributed. It is a
Okay,
normal
okay.
distribution.
Okay, sir.
So if we take example n, n is number of sample, not the sample size.
Okay.
Okay, with me.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing is, sample size should be sufficiently large. Is the thing which I can say at this point of time. So guys, I will explain the center limit theorem tomorrow. Just revise the concepts of hypothesis testing today, and whatever I told about center limit theorem, just read the definition for 1 or 2 times. I'll explain this theorem detail in tomorrow because it's very difficult to cover any other concept along with the hypothesis testing on the same days.
Okay, sir.
Anybody, any question till now?
Sir, the sample also contain several values, na? Of one sample.
Sample, yeah, multiple values.
Sorry.
That's why I said the sample is sufficiently large.
Okay, okay. Means we have to minimum we have to collect 30 sample, and that should be sufficiently large enough.
The 30 is the 30 are the samples which I need to collect, and each sample which I've been collecting should be sufficiently large.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody else any question?
I have a doubt, but
yeah, don't.
I know the central limit.
Yeah, please.
I know the central limit theorem. So I have a doubt that I think central sample size should be 30, at least 30.
Okay, just research on it in case it might be a scenario that I have been missing something. So in case you come across
standard deviation of that normal distribution which we get from that mean of that sample, from which we get the standard normal distribution for that normal distribution, the standard deviation of that will be the population divided by the sample size.
So that is a standard error. That is standard error.
So in this case,
yeah.
In this case, sample size would be fixed.
No. So it's not. So I will say 30. So okay, let me repeat this. So minimum is 30. It can be 30, 35. So at 30 at 30 when it comes, it will start approximating the normal distribution. So in case you increase it to 35, 40, 50, 100, whatever it is, it will more near to normal distribution. So at 30, it will start approximating a normal distribution. So in case you got me incorrectly.
Are you saying this?
Yeah.
Are you saying for the sample size?
I'm saying in case you take 30 samples, then it will start approximating a normal distribution. And in case the sample size increases more than 30, then also it is good, and it will also more near to normal as we increase the sample size to 30, 31, 32, whatever we go.
Okay, both in the both sample size and taking the sample, it should be more than 30.
So the number of samples which I have been taking, it should be, so let's say example, I have a room full of balls, say tennis balls. So as a first step, I took say 100 balls in first sample. In second sample, I took 200 balls. In third sample, I took 500 balls. So these 1, 2, 3 which I have been talking about are 30 iterations of the sample which I have.
The sample size should be similar for all 30 samples, right?
Yeah. Sample size should be, take it as similar only at this point of time. Say 500. Every time I am taking 500 samples out of say 10,000 balls I have. Every time I'm taking 500, 500, 500, 500. So this repetition or the number of samples which I have been taking, first time, second time, third time, this time will be 30. At least 30 times I'll be taking. And if I will be plotting the mean of these samples which I have been taking, this mean will start following approximating a normal distance. Is it clear?
Yes, but for the formula of, I know central limit theorem because I'm saying that the standard deviation equation for that we have to know the sample size.
Sample, yeah, sample size I need to. So in case you are taking n as 30, then n is 30. You're taking 30 sample. In case you're taking 50 samples, then n is 50.
Okay. It will be fine if the sample size more than 30.
Yeah. So
it can be anything. It can be
anything. But at 30,
okay.
At 30, it will start approximating a normal distribution.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Anybody else? Any doubt?
No.
Okay, so I'll wrap up this session here only, because if I'll continue after that, you guys will not be gaining anything, but it will make you guys confused. So I've been passing these notes to like IIBM today only, and you will get it tomorrow on the portal. Okay, guys, so that you can revise.
Okay.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. We'll meet tomorrow at tomorrow Thursday at 9. So Thursday the time is 9. Every day time is 8:30. Okay, guys.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Bye, sir. Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye.